Jewish God's name is Yahweh, formed from 4 letters, in Greek known as a tetragrammaton, the 4 letters. The delivery of this name from God to humans appears in Exodus 3:13-15. Let's read. Moses said to God, "When I come to the Israelites and say to them, 'The God of your father has sent me to you,' and they ask me, 'What is his name?' what shall I say to them?" And God said to Moses, "Ehyeh asher ehyeh, I am that I am, or I am who I am." He continued, "Thus shall you say to the Israelites, Ehyeh, I am, sent me to you." And God said further to Moses, "Thus shall you speak to the Israelites, Yahweh, the Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has sent me to you. This shall be my name forever, this my appellation for all eternity." As you can see, in the Bible, the God of Jews and Christians, as they still read it in the Bible, declares that this is his name, and this is what they are to call him. The Bible also uses this name numerous times. The problem is that these 4 letters, Yahweh, don't exactly give people the explanation on how to pronounce the name, and signs were only added later to these words, and due to one of the 10 commandments that goes, "You shall not take the name of the Lord, your God, in vain." Jews were usually anxious about the usage of God's name altogether, and replaced the name in prayers and in reading the Bible with Adonai. So Adonai, Lord, or the Lord, instead of Yahweh. Even in one of the most important Jewish prayers, the Shema Yisrael, Yahweh is replaced with Adonai. The prayer goes, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one." In Hebrew, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. When in reality, the text reads, Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. This is how sacred the name is. Now, what is Islam's position on all this? The Quran never mentions Yahweh. The Hadith never mention Yahweh. No Islamic source ever mentions Yahweh. The Quran introduces Allah. Muhammad speaks of Allah. Muslims know their God as Allah. How could it be that such a sacred thing, the name of God, that he, according to millennia-old Jewish and Christian belief, told his people to use, is not mentioned in Islam at all? It doesn't appear anywhere in Islam. Instead, mosques have Allah written all over them, while mosques also have Muhammad written all over them, which is something I'll certainly come to in another video. Aside from this very important point, that the Christian and Jewish God's name is not the Islamic God's name at all, there are so many other factors that would make us conclude that Islam just appropriates the biblical Abrahamic God, and it takes aspects of the religion, but it doesn't represent the same religion or the same God. The 10 Commandments, for example, that we mentioned earlier, that are the fundaments of worship and of ethics in Judaism and in Christianity, are entirely missing in Islam. It would be expected that Islam either mentions Yahweh and accepts this as Allah's name, or Islam never mentions Yahweh and rejects this as Allah's name. The second option is true, or that's what Muslims believe. And here we come to a huge problem for Islam. It is very common among religious groups.
Okay, so we heard Apus or apostate prophet. So the issue here is that Yahweh was not the original name of God. If we read the Hebrew of Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, we see God's name was originally Elohim. And I'll get into this in the next slide. The Hebrew name for God used in Genesis chapter 1 verse 1 is Elohim, which translated into English is Elohim. You can see the Hebrew word right up there. Hebrew, or the Hebrew word used in Genesis chapter 1 verse 1 to describe God is Elohim. Now if you translate Elohim into Arabic, it is Allah. So Allah is closer to the Hebrew word Elohim than Yahweh is to the Hebrew word Elohim. If you read Genesis chapter 1 verse 1 in Arabic, it says, "In the beginning Allah created the heavens and the earth," because Allah is closer to the original Hebrew word used in Genesis chapter 1 verse 1, which is Elohim. Other verses where Elohim or Elohah is used as the name of God in Hebrew text would be, and this is just a short list Elohim and Elohah are scattered. The Hebrew names Elohim and Elohah are scattered all over the Old Testament. But these are just some of the verses, I could come up with. I came up with. It's Deuteronomy chapter 4 verse 33. The Hebrew word Elohim is used. Genesis chapter 28 verse 20. Elohim is used. Exodus chapter 13 verse 17. Elohim is used, not Yahweh. Numbers chapter 22 verse 20, Elohim is used. Genesis chapter 50 verse 25, Elohim is used. Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 15, Elohim and Elohah is used. Job chapter 12 verse 6, the Hebrew name Elohah is used as opposed to Yahweh. God's name becomes Yahweh in God's name becomes Yahweh in Exodus chapter 3 verse 16. However, whoever wrote the Bible was influenced by pagan sources, as Yahweh was originally a pagan deity, which I'll get into right now. We know this by the following facts and scholarly books on the Bible, or the origins of the Bible. During the Exodus out of Egypt, Israel had to pass by the nations of Edom and Midian on their way to the promised land, which is Canaan. During their 40 years in the wilderness, as they fashioned a new religion, Israel was possibly influenced by Edom's and Midian's religious beliefs. God's name in the Old Testament is transliterated from the Hebrew as Yahweh, probably meaning I am, in Exodus chapter 3 verse 13 to 14. There is an obscure reference in a 13th century BC Egyptian document to a region in Edom associated with JWH, possibly indicating that JWH was a national god of Edom. Yahweh is linked to the god of Edom because of his localized actions. We see this in the following biblical verses. Habakkuk chapter 3 verse 3, Judges chapter 5 verse 4 to 5, and Deuteronomy chapter 33 verse 2. You can read the text on the slide. So according to the book, I did some further research on the name Yahweh, and according to the book God and Anatomy by Dr. Francesca S. I cannot say that last name. The Israelites originally worshipped a god named El. Yahweh was a minor storm deity. Yahweh had a body, a wife, and other offspring. Yahweh's ex-wife is Asherah on page 148. There are hints at some early references looking at or seeking God's face in Psalm chapter 27, verse 8, involving worship of an actual statue depicting Yahweh. And on page 314, she states. Another point is there's a really good book that came out, I think, back in 2016 or something like that, called The Invention of God by Thomas Rohr. Now, this person actually proves that Yahweh was actually a pre-Mosaic pagan deity, from an ancient tribe called Midian. So basically, Yahweh was a pagan deity who, get this, actually had a wife. So Yahweh was a name of a pagan god, that had nothing to do with the Jews or the Israelites. In fact, the biblical authors stole that name Yahweh, as you can see in the map there, when they left Egypt and went to the Midian. They took that name Yahweh from a local pagan god, Yahoo. Yahoo eventually became the name Yahweh.